And we welcome you to another edition of This is Wrestling. It's Lee Versage, along with the busiest man on the Eastern Ontario seaboard, Zach McGibbon. How are you, Zach?
Doing pretty good, Mr. Versage. I think that's an apt description right now. Just been bouncing around to different locations for the sake of the wrestling show. I was at Acclaim this past Friday night, a rare Friday night show for Acclaim. Usually they're on Saturdays. But to mark the Friday night occasion, they called it Friday Night Fever for the show. So had a little bit of a disco flair. No, it was good.
I can see how enthused you were. What? You know what? There's so much to ask you. I want to ask you about the Super Bowl before we get into the wrestling. I want to ask you about like all kinds of different things. But what is going on with Junior Benito? Like bad guy, good guy. McCray Martin's challenging him, but then they go on the road and they're fresh air and they're a tag team, but then they're both faces at C4. Like, what the hell is going on with these guys?
I don't know. It is just whatever's going on at Acclaim. I don't know if it's just the environment there at Acclaim or something, but it's really brought a different attitude for Junior Benito. He came out. I don't know if you saw, he's got the long black leather pants that he's wearing now. And it's like the only comparison I could think of is a Diesel back in '95 with his black leather pants.
Great.
What
a comparison. Yeah,
I know. I'm comparing Junior Benito to Kevin Nash. I don't think anybody ever expected that. But I'm just in terms of look. He cut a promo at the start of the show, and our owner of Acclaim, Chaz Lovely, the owner of Acclaim Pro Wrestling, a longtime independent wrestler as well in the area. He came out to confront Benito about it, and he's upset that this man is the champion that represents Acclaim after that heel turn. Like, this is the guy he's known for many years, since he was 15 years old. I've known Junior since he was like 18, 19, so I can relate to that. And Junior said, look, what I'm really here for is to make a lot of money, win my matches, and have sex with a lot of women, is what he said. So I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, Junior. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So first of all, is there a lot of money going around the Dom Polsky Hall? Is that like, do I think of the Dom Polsky Hall and like a lot of money?
Well, it was another sold out crowd there, Lee. So maybe that's what it is. And
that's
take credit for it. And one of the things too that Junior Benito said is that Cristara has the advantage on Junior Benito when it comes to wins. Junior has never beaten Cristara at Acclaim, and so that was also a reason to kind of turn his back on her. In the end, as a spoiler alert, Junior Benito did retain his title, and he took the title belts just like he did last show. It took out Cristara, and then he took out the referee with the title belt. Chaz Lovely runs down, tries to get some sense into him, and Chaz Lovely gets knocked out with the belt. And boy, he hit him hard, because I very rarely see blood on the independent scene, but Chaz was bleeding from his forehead from the belt shot as well. And finally, McCray, there was a little bit of hesitation from Junior Benito holding on to that title belt, and he was looking at McCray, and he didn't say a word to him, but it was enough. It looks like we'll get a title match between the two at a future show, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's about time that Junior had a proper attitude, and it sounds like he's getting his attitude straight, which is good. It's in for like wrestling, money, power, women. Good for him. You know what? It's about time, Junior. I was trying to tell you that turncoat McCray, man.
Turncoat McCray? He wasn't the one that turned heel.
Yeah, I don't care about that. What I do care about is Junior getting his attitude proper. Like, it's about time.
I did go on commentary and say I have never seen this persona of Junior Benito before. I couldn't believe what I was seeing out there, and just immediately, like, you could just tell right away from the start of the match against Cristara, rolls out of the ring and just starts jaw-jacking with the crowd. It's like, I never thought I'd see this from Junior Benito, this side of Junior Benito.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad. I'm happy. That's the person that we should be seeing, the real Junior Benito. McCray, get on board. So okay, there's so much to get into. A quick thought, you probably picked the Patriots with I gotta talk about Sebastian. There's just so many. I have a list here.
You have a list.
And I'm so happy that the guy who runs Blue Collar Sports, Sebastian,
Stefan.
right? Stefan. Yeah,
Yes,
Sebastian to me. Yeah, Sebastian to me. Okay. Takeshka, Sebastian,
Lyra Valkyria.
whatever her name is. I couldn't even get that close. At least I got the S right with Sebastian. He got Mr. Iguana. That makes me so happy. Like that's $10 into the old This Is Wrestling account right there. Mr. Iguana. That's worse than Damian Priest.
It was bad. He told me afterwards he had to walk out of his house and like take a breather because he couldn't believe he drew Mr. Iguana.
I was wishing you would get Mr. Iguana, but
that would have been, for the podcast, it would have been I got Mr. Iguana, but no.
Well, Mr. Iguana is now the mixed AAA champion.
Yes.
Again. I don't know how they defended the belts without Chelsea Green there, but somehow, some way that happened. And poor Chelsea, she's just getting killed.
Foot injury now is just that's a tough break, literally.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, I was going to get to Braun Breaker, but I'm going to get to every single New England Patriots fan. Speaking about injuries, how do you like your team getting to the championship game and looking like the Bantam Canada Knights out on the field? You know what? I'm being pleasant. The Pee Wee Canada Knights. Like, what a joke of a team. What a joke. On your little podcast with Sebastian, did you pick New England?
I did not. No, I picked Seattle.
Oh, my God. Did he pick New England?
No, he also picked Seattle.
Okay.
You know what his score prediction was, though?
Oh, not 29-13.
No, but it was 31-10. It was pretty close. I was like, wow. Yeah.
Great. I picked 27-10. You don't hear me bragging about it.
I think you would. I think you'd be like, no, but I was close, which means I'm practically right, and I would hear the whole explanation.
I picked 27-10, Zach. Zach, I picked 27-10. You don't hear me blabbing on about it. How embarrassing for New England Patriots fans. Embarrassing.
Yeah, right from the jump, literally, on the line. Yeah. It was just, they kept bringing the Seahawks only a 4-man rush, too. It wasn't like they brought in a couple of blitzes, but it was like that left side of the offensive line for New England is all rookies. And I know Will Campbell's a top draft pick, but it was not a good night to be an offensive lineman.
Did you see the Will Campbell stats?
I didn't see his specific stats. I know they gave up like 7 sacks or something like that. And I know he gave up like
Will Campbell allowing 14 pressures himself in the game? The most in a playoff game since 2018, and the 29 pressures allowed by Will Campbell this postseason, the most ever since they started recording. And that's just one guy. So it is hard to blame Drake May, right?
Yeah.
23 years old, second year, and he's playing behind that. But man, oh man. I was just happy. Look, it's been a bad game 2 years in a row, but when the team I hate most in the world is the winner last year and from the get-go and it's not close and all that stuff, at least a team I hate was on the receiving side of this.
Yes.
So I enjoyed that. Zach, I enjoyed the Super Bowl yesterday for that.
I felt no sympathy for the Patriots fans. It's like oh, you got your 6 others. You cry me a river. You know, like you're fine. You had the 2010s.
Most losing. You're the most losing franchise ever in the Super Bowl. It fits you.
Yeah, good.
Exactly. No sympathy. Do you have sympathy for Braun Breaker, who apparently is out with surgery for a hernia, according to multiple reports. and WrestleMania in jeopardy. I'm reading a whole bunch of stuff that, oh, he may miss WrestleMania and he's going to miss, like, I don't know. Did a quick search and looking up recovery rates is 4 to 6 weeks and WrestleMania is in like 10 weeks.
Yep.
But certainly a loss. Now, Zach, you would think that the way they booked Braun Breaker at the Royal Rumble, that he was hurt before, right?
One would think. I was like, oh, well, maybe that's the explanation. I would have liked to have known that before the Rumble, but that would have been, an explanation. It's like, okay, you have to pivot. You're not sure if you're going to have your main guy for the long term and you go for the safe pick. Then I would understand it.
But that doesn't seem to be the case.
Oh.
Seems to be the case that he hurt himself on the Monday afterwards.
Oh. On the Raw.
Flipping the table on Raw.
Oh, that's where. Oh, that's that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah, when he came out at the beginning and he flipped the table, and apparently the hernia began and then got worse and worse over the week. So, what do you think of Braun Breaker at least being out of the storylines over the next 4 to 6 weeks? Like, they might keep him around in the storylines enough to be involved in WrestleMania. We'll see. But how much do you think that this changes things in the WWE?
I think it depends on how long-term this injury is for a hernia. If it's a severe hernia injury, like I saw Meltzer reported. So I think it all depends. I think you could still do stuff with him on screen. Like you said, you hear severe hernia and his WrestleMania status is in doubt. It's like, oh boy, I'm not exactly, top of mind when it comes to injuries and how long certain injuries are. But like what you said, I searched it up. I was like, oh, well, he's gone for maybe a month and WrestleMania is in late April. So I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, and they could find some stuff in between. And with a guy like Braun Breaker, the way that he kind of wrestles and whatnot, I think it's okay if you just kind of save him for certain spots, right? You don't have to, in a way, it kind of keeps him special because you don't have him out on TV wrestling every night. You hear about the stuff with Braun Breaker, but you don't actually see it for the next little bit. So it depends on how they approach it. It depends on what the program is. If it is going to be a Seth Rollins return at WrestleMania and they do a Seth and Braun program, or if that masked person is Logan Paul, like we were kind of bandying about on the last episode. So, I mean, it really can go a lot of ways, but to answer your question, I don't think it really impacts him. I think you could do stuff with him on screen. It just doesn't have to be in a wrestling capacity.
Is there a difficulty, if that's the plan, Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins, that both guys coming off injuries, would you worry about that at all?
I would worry more about Seth because this is not the first time he's had a lower body injury. Like there's the famous one back in 2015 that brought him out a year while he was, while I believe he had the championship. So it would concern me with Seth a little bit more because he's been a little bit more banged up than you would expect, right? Over the last little bit.
Yeah.
So I'd be more concerned with Seth. With Braun, it's kind of more up in the air. Again, like I wouldn't worry too much about it because it doesn't seem like, obviously you don't want the guy to be injured, but compared to like other injuries, this is something that you can certainly recover from. So I'm not as concerned on that front. But with Seth, there is a bit of an injury history there with him, especially when it comes to his legs.
We've talked a number of shows in a row here about the WWE, so we're going to get to AEW. We haven't got to them in quite a while. But I do have to ask you, what did you think of the promo with Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and Roman already deciding that that's the title he's going to go for 2 days after the Royal Rumble, and set the stage, for their promo and then their match coming up in late April?
Lee, is pro wrestling back in the WWE? Are we back? Are we back in the WWE?
I think in that segment, I felt like we were kind of back.
We were kind of back. I love that segment.
Yeah, so did I, because it felt organic, even if it wasn't. I don't care if it actually is. I want it to feel that way.
Yep.
And did there look like there was some heat between the two? Yeah. And Zach, incredibly, it's amazing when promos hit like that one, where both guys actually get in some offense on the promo, and you find yourself going, yeah, CM Punk's kind of right there. Oh, no, Roman's kind of right there. Yep. And when you feel that, when you watch it that way, it just hits different to me. That it's not like one guy was out there just burying the other guy. I felt like they both got some stuff in that was like, hey, good for them. It felt good to see them in that environment.
I saw some people kind of picking apart what Roman said about the Cabana podcast and Punk's comments about Roman and all that. In that sense, I was more of like, man, it's pro wrestling. Sometimes you got to let some things slide as part of the kayfabe, and you know, you could still have somewhat of an understanding of like if it was more. It's been well known, because I believe Punk even said it, that Roman Reigns wasn't even the initial member he wanted for the Shield. It was Chris Hero at that time that he wanted as part of the Shield with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. So if he wanted to play into that, where it was like, look, you weren't my original choice for the Shield, and I wanted this other guy, and then you ended up being the guy anyway, and Roman kind of holds on to that a little bit, I think that could be something interesting. But even then, like, I was sitting back, I was listening along, I was into it. And at the end of the day, you got to make me believe you don't like the other guy. And I certainly believed it. And I came out of it thinking, man, Roman cut the better promo than Punk did. Yeah. And you would have asked me that, who would cut a better promo in 2025, you know, back when Roman was getting pushed in 2015, that era, that time when The Rock had to come out and lift Roman's hand to a chorus of boos, and you could tell The Rock kind of lifted up his head like, oh, that's not the reaction I was expecting from lifting up my.
It's 2026, 2026, by the way.
2026. Yes. Yeah, I still have to get used to that.
Just so you know.
Yeah. It's, no, I've been awful with the dates recently. I've been calling March, May. Now I'm calling 2026, 2025.
Well, it's been January 57th for like every day. So it's still
the
just
weather
January
especially makes it seem like that. So
that's what I mean. It's still January 57th right now.
Yes.
But so you're right. I would hope that that's what everybody wanted, because you worried about Roman in that spot. I did, because Punk can do a lot of things, right? Like, that's his game. It's hard to say something to CM Punk that he won't have something back and like fairly decent. So what can you do to make Roman look good in a battle with CM Punk? I would hope that even Punk was like, yeah, I got to give something here, and we're going to have Roman do it. Like, I worried going into that segment, and there was like one tiny little part of it that I'm like, uh-oh, for Roman, but he got it back. And when he came out looking stronger, I just hope that that was a team decision. That's all. Because Zach, you know, and I know, like, if they both went out there and said, like, just don't script anything, just go out there and get after each other for 10 minutes, CM Punk would eat him alive.
Oh, for sure.
So you don't want that. You don't need that. You need that, as you said, you got to feel like they don't like each other. And when you say, I picked you because I hate you, it's amazing. That's the part where I'm like, oh, here comes Zach McGibbon. Because that's where that it's not more difficult than that sometimes, right, Zach? You can do everything you want, but sometimes
doesn't this feel like the hottest program in WWE right now just because he hates the guy? Like, we don't have to. You would have told me, we were talking about Mr. Iguana earlier. Could you imagine if Roman came out with a puppet and was like, this is Puppet Punk, and I tried to do miming and whatnot? Do you think that would make it the hottest program? No, it's because the guy hates the other guy and he wants to show that I can beat you and I hold on to this grudge. Yeah. It's sometimes they make it way too hard when it doesn't need to be this hard. It really doesn't need to be this hard.
All right. Well, let's switch our gears to AEW, who are going to Australia coming up. And I don't even know how much we've talked about the new TNT champion, Tommaso Ciampa. And I had a bit of an issue with the fact that Ciampa wins the title and then I just love what Mark Briscoe did, and I'm gonna do an open challenge. And then Zach, in 10 seconds, they had a graphic up that he was in a three-way with Roderick Strong and
Claudio Castagnoli.
Claudio.
Yeah.
And they had the graphic right 10 seconds after he said, I'm going to do an open challenge come Saturday night. Like, come on, guys.
Just a little bit of time, maybe a segment in between.
Yes. Maybe just do something on camera. I'm going to answer that challenge. Yes, so am I. Okay, fine. Anything. They had a graphic ready 10 seconds after it. However, what do you think about Tommaso Ciampa coming in, winning that title? And do you think he's just a transitional guy to get the belt back to Kyle Fletcher to go to Australia?
It's an interesting question. In terms of that first part of your question, in terms of Ciampa, I've really liked his return to his debut in AEW. I was a little concerned with you bring somebody in like him. He's a little bit older, and yes, he was part of Ring of Honor and he was part of a big feud at NXT with Johnny Gargano, but he hadn't really been prominently featured in a while. And but boy, he's stepped in and he looks like he belongs on that roster. The way that he's come out, you could tell he's motivated. He's ready to go. And he had a really fun match with Mark Briscoe, I thought. And I'm watching that Collision match. And now with the Kyle Fletcher stuff, it is interesting because there's the one half of you is like, you just got this guy that's debuted in your company. You just gave him the TNT championship to kind of establish him on your TV. Is this something you want to do a long-standing thing with him where you want to have him hold the belt for a little bit? Or do you put it back on Kyle Fletcher and just have Fletcher kind of hold the belt for the next little bit? It's weird because I feel like, I was over here pounding the desk about Braun Breaker taking that next step to his elevation. I'm feeling that way a little bit about Fletcher, where it's like, all right, let's take the next step with him. Let's get him elevated. I know we already had the main event. They've done more with Fletcher than WWE has done with Breaker, quite frankly, if you compare the two. But I still want to see that elevation going. And it feels like the TNT championship is more of a stopgap at this point, as opposed to, part of that elevation, part of that rise of Kyle Fletcher.
And WWE fans would clap back at you right now and say, at least Braun Breaker's like in the main event picture. Kyle Fletcher's like messing around as not the title holder for a secondary title. Like, we might love him. I love him. But he's not messing around. Like right now, there's like 6 guys in the main event scene, which we'll get to here in a second.
Yep.
In AEW, and Kyle Fletcher's not one of them. And he doesn't even hold the secondary belt. So what are they doing with him? I wonder if he is injured or was injured. We haven't seen Kyle Fletcher wrestle in a month. How come? Maybe he just got injured and they didn't tell us. Because we just haven't seen him involved very much in the last 4 to 6 weeks. And I know he's going to wrestle.
Plus, it's the Continental Classic tournament where you have to wrestle quite a bit. Every week, as opposed to like a little bit more sporadically. So there could be the argument too of you give him some time off after having him go in the Continental Classic. So there is that argument you can make as well. But John Moxley, of course, wrestled immediately after the Continental Classic after winning it. So, I mean, it is interesting that they haven't really focused on him. I guess it goes back to your earlier point, and that might be a transition to this world title picture that they have where there's a bunch of people that are competing for it. And maybe it's just one of those deals where you see it all the time, where sometimes guys just kind of get lost in the shuffle when you have a more of a focus on another storyline. And unfortunately, this might be where Fletcher kind of falls in right now, which I don't really like, for the record, but sometimes that's the case in pro wrestling. Where you just kind of fall out of the picture.
That's true, but we just can't pound the desk for some and then not pound the desk for others and go, oh, well, that's just sometimes the way it goes. Now,
if Fletcher gets sprawled up in 10 seconds by Tommaso Ciampa in Australia, like how Breaker got eliminated in the Rumble first in 8 seconds, then I'm probably coming on here and pounding the desk and say, what are we doing?
Yeah, okay. But then as we get to the world title picture, the world champion got bludgeoned the other night in like a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get to MJF first. There was a lot going on in a short amount of time in the main event last week with Brody King. There were the bleep ice comments from the crowd that were very easy to recognize. Like even just me watching it going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard MJF talk about how he loves the company because they didn't censor it. And they wanted to make sure that they were heard, as opposed to if it were a WWE crowd or somebody else, that it would have got censored in a way. What did you make of that?
I was definitely, I mean, we know with Brody King, his stance, he wore that shirt in Mexico a while back at Grand Slam Mexico. So interesting timing, obviously, with it all. And it was interesting because, you know, commentators were starting to talk a little bit. And then there was just that layoff period where they just went quiet and they just let the crowd do it. So it was interesting because usually in scenarios like that, just for so long, they just kind of rush, or not necessarily rush through it, but they try and talk over it, or they just try to ignore it and just get back to the show. But it was interesting that they put it on display and said, look, this is what we are. Like, this is what they're chanting. And they even had that cut to MJF, his facial reaction. I don't think he was expecting it either, the way that he looked at the camera, Jim Halpert style. But but nonetheless, it was interesting. I thought it was an interesting chant. Obviously got some mainstream publicity as well. I saw a bunch of different news outlets. I just got a kick out of the news anchors being like, oh, I see, even they lost the wrestling crowd. Like the wrestling like there's the mentality with some of the news anchors are, oh, we are we have this preconceived notion that a lot of wrestling fans are just the hicks that watch, as opposed to you know, you or I are watching it, or some of the listeners that watch it. Like, you know, it's interesting how it still has that reputation for some. So, and plus, let's just say it, you know, WWE has been closely associated with the Trump administration, with Triple H's role in that committee as well. So that could be a thing for AEW in the future if they wanted to separate themselves and say,
I don't think it hurts to be on the opposite side of the WWE.
Yep. And if that's the way to do it, that might be their opportunity to hop on that, right? So,
because it does seem, whether it is or not, it seems organic again.
Yep.
So, again, before we get to all the contenders here and what's going on, I have to say, and I might get pushback from this. Maybe everyone else loved it. I hated the whole last segment of AEW last week. After that point, Hangman comes out, distracts MJF. They basically make fun of Gunther, what he did to Dragon Lee, and I didn't think very well, to be honest. I didn't get it. It was like, okay, so now the world champion's gonna get caught in a sleeper hold and go limp in like 2 seconds, and then he's gonna come back, and then he's gonna be put out again, and he's gonna get, you know, rolled up and bludgeoned very quickly, and that's how Brody King's gonna get a shot. So I didn't like it, Zach. I just, like, to me, Brody King should have gone out there and earned a shot. Like, if Brody King's going to be in a main event, like, I kind of feel like going into Australia, he doesn't deserve to be in the main event. That's how I felt afterwards. And I shouldn't feel that way. Should feel like he went and kicked MJF's ass. Yeah. And he deserves to be there. He deserves this world title shot. Hangman comes out. They do a silly little gimmick that kind of makes fun of WWE. And now we got our main event for Australia. I'm not really jazzed about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, because I was also going to say it too. I was like, I think they overthought this. If you were to have just pitched it into a meeting and said, look, we want to establish Brody King as a guy, and he's been this dominant wrecking ball, this dominant force for the longest time.
Right.
We want him to beat the champion. We want to have a shocking moment that sets up a title match later on, right? That idea I could get behind. Brody King coming in, putting in the sleeper onto MJF. He's dangling over the ropes or whatnot. And like that visual, like I can get behind that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, he just, put the champ out. And can he do that again? Like in such a dominant display, can he do that again in Australia? But like what you said, Hangman comes out and then they do the extra stuff at the end. And I'm like, I think there's a little bit too much thought into this. It's like what I was saying with the Roman Reigns and CM Punk segment earlier, where it was just two guys didn't like each other and they were explaining why they didn't like each other. Simple, effective, and that's the hottest feud right now for WWE heading into WrestleMania. How they will be able to maintain that for multiple months on end, we'll see. But it feels like right now, as we're talking, that's a hot feud.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Brody King coming in, especially if you want to establish him as a main event guy and show that he belongs in the main event. I practically preach every show. Sometimes just let the guy dominate and win. And that's what happened. But there were so many other elements that were thrown into there that it took away from this dominant display instead of leaving you with the figure of MJF dangling over the ropes.
Yeah, the sleeper dangling over the ropes. Again, it lasted, like, I'm not joking. I'm not sure if it was 2 seconds.
Right.
That's what you're going to do to your world champion? Or, like, are you actually making fun of the WWE? Because that guy's hotter than anybody you guys have right now. Sorry. Like, I think even if you don't like the WWE, you kind of believe in Gunther.
Yep.
So why are you making fun of him?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? I don't, that's not who you should be as a company. Brody King can kick people's asses. MJF's awesome. Like, go out there and have a good match. And they've been having other good matches that we're going to get to. I would say, honestly, Zach, like, I'm not even kidding. I had to go to our AEW superfan to get him to try to explain to me what was going on, like when people were wrestling and what that match meant and what it led to, because I was like genuinely confused, like not putting one over on him to be an ass or whatever. Like I literally, which I would do often, but I genuinely did not understand. And I would say things to him like, no, they said that Kenny Omega, if he had one more victory and he would be the guy at Revolution. And then Superfan would go, no, they didn't say that. And I would rewind it. I'm like, well, here it is. Right. And he's like, well, no, I think you're overthinking. I'm like, did you just listen to him? And it took me until the middle of last week's show to even figure out, okay, so if Brody beats MJF, then he is going to fight MJF later. But is that in Australia? I'm not really sure. But then Kenny's fighting Andrade, but Hangman is facing like Rocky Romero. And then who did Hangman face? And they never said that the winner would face Hangman. Never. And Kenny actually said in a promo after beating some schlep that if he beat Andrade, he would go on to Revolution to face MJF. And that was absolutely false. It was like the winner of that match was going to face Hangman at Australia. So I don't mind the idea of having multiple challengers and not just one challenger. But I'm telling you, Zach, if you go back and try and follow it, I was desperately trying to get answers and I couldn't. I couldn't figure it out. And then they finally, because they would say things and they would say it generically, and then they would actually say things that were false. And it's like the announcers didn't know. It's just like everybody didn't know. But finally, we have our answer where Andrade, he beat Swerve, and now he has beaten Kenny Omega, and he's going to go on to face Hangman. next week for the winner to get a shot, or in Australia, I should say.
Yep.
And the winner of that match will get a shot at MJF at Revolution. If Brody King doesn't win, which, spoiler alert, he won't. Okay, let's.
Can I talk about Andrade here quickly?
Yeah, what do you like and what do you not like from all of that?
Well, I don't mind Andrade getting the push. I just want to push back. You were pushing back on Ben Sublier. Poor Ben. I got to push back on him on something too when it comes to Andrade, because he's taking the victory lap already on Andrade.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Ben, think about this. Andrade, every time he's complaining, it's about his lack of push and how he's not being utilized. And then he goes on Twitter, he puts out these hourglass emojis, be like, oh, a matter of time before I leave. Or he was part of the malcontents with Aleister Black, Malachi Black at AEW and Rusev / Miro. He was part of that group. Lee, the guy is getting the chance to beat Swerve and Kenny Omega at the top. Plus, his gimmick is a ladies' man where all the ladies fawn over him. And he's literally going over there, giving them their number in this like envelope, insinuating, hey, I'll see you at the hotel room later.
Right.
Lee, I would be the most motivated guy in the world in that company if my gimmick was I beat all the top guys and I'm a ladies' man. Like, come on, Ben.
Yep.
Wait, like, don't do the victory lap quite yet.
No, and get ready for it, because
what happens when the push ends and when he loses his title match, right? Then what's going to happen? I'm giving it. I said when Andrade went to WWE, I said, give it a year. He's going to complain about it. And it took him 3 months to complain about it. 3 months. Of course he's going to be motivated to go and ready to go, because he's getting pushed like a $1 million star that all the ladies love. And I'm beating all the top guys. I would feel pretty motivated too to go out there and give my best to Tony Khan. And he's saying all the right things right now. Like, oh, I want to retire here.
I want to retire here. You're a bunch of, you have burned every bridge alive. Of course you want to retire at the one place that you are back in.
Quite frankly, I'm stunned you're back in, Andrade.
Right.
And you're getting a big push. Like, again, like let's pump the brakes on the victory lap here, Ben. And let's see a little bit more. Let's see what happens 6 months from now. Who knows? Maybe he's going to win the world title and he's going to have a year-long run and he's going to redefine AEW business. I don't know. Probably not, but I don't know. Like, but
so do you think he's going to beat Hangman in Australia?
He's beating Swerve and Kenny. If you want to establish a title challenger for MJF and you want to keep the belt on MJF, that's the way to go. Have him beat Hangman.
I agree. I'm not going to like to see it, but it's the proper booking.
Yeah. And look, not to take away from what Andrade has done, like, he has been motivated and he's been putting on really good matches.
He is looked decent.
The thing was never his wrestling matches. Maybe it was I think Ben was saying you, Lee, were kind of doubting his wrestling matches or whatnot.
Well, no, when you've given up on a company and you're a malcontent, are you going out there and performing at 110%?
Right.
The answer is no.
No,
you're not. So amazingly, he's performing really well right now when he's being given the push of a lifetime for no reason. To be quite frank with you, if I'm Hangman and Swerve and Kenny, I'm like, let's get Brody King in there. Let's get some other guys in there. We had Samoa Joe. Yeah, but we had Samoa Joe at the top before, and like we're doing some other things with the world title. I think that's good. But I wouldn't be overly thrilled that Mr. Malcontent is getting one over on everybody right now.
And you notice too, with MJF, he's been going after Andrade on Twitter the last little bit. Like he's been throwing in some pot shots at him. Like they've been going back and forth. Like I just see that it's like, oh, they're trying to set up the program long term because they know this is where it's ending up.
But I don't quite understand that either, because again, you have kind of two heels, and to me, it makes MJF look, because he can go back and forth a little bit. The crowd can get behind MJF when he's going up against a real heel. And then if they need him, obviously as a heel, to go up against Kenny and Swerve and Hangman, he's quite good at that too. So I just don't know for me that I look to Revolution and go at the top of the card, the main event of your pay-per-view that you haven't had a show since World's End. So all of January, all of February, and into March. And the match that you're putting at the very top of that card is MJF and Andrade. Because I just don't believe in all of this that Andrade is going to be a world title guy and that they're going to keep it on him and they're going to trust him and you'll have all these guys chasing Andrade. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, Kyle Fletcher's not even in the picture right now. But I don't mind the idea of this. I think they've just convoluted it. Yeah. And I think they're choosing the wrong guy.
I agree with on that. Like, again, there's a lot of things with AEW right now. I really like their ideas on it, but again, there's just a little bit too much thought. And I say this as someone that's actually enjoyed the TV the last couple of weeks from AEW since the new year has started. I've liked the undercard matches that have been put on. I think the wrestling has been top notch over the last couple of weeks. And I don't mind the idea of having multiple challengers for your world title. You make that important. Like, everybody wants to gun for that world championship. And you have a new guy that kind of rises through the ranks. I just don't know if it's Andrade long term, or maybe we're thinking long term, but they're thinking short term here and saying, look, we want a different title challenger for MJF and we got to put a guy over and we need to get a return on investment on Andrade because we signed him. So let's push him and see if he responds well to it. And so far he has. So
what are they doing if we believe that Andrade is going to beat Hangman and go on to face MJF for that world title? Are we going to get, I don't know, is it weird that we would get an underneath match of maybe Hangman, Kenny, and Swerve? And why would they deserve to be in a number one contenders match if they all lost to Andrade, who's the number one contender? That would be my question.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they haven't lost to each other, Lee, so that's why we got to do the number one.
Well, they've also beaten Rocky Romero and like Mark Davis. Like, Tony Schiavone saying that this is the most important match for Hangman that he can remember, and it's against Mark Davis. I like, Tony.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, you're insulting your audience at that point.
Yes. Still feel bad about that Davis and Doyle tag team, especially with Doyle tearing his bicep from a couple of weeks ago.
I'm not super opposed to putting Fletcher back with Davis now.
Might as well.
And have them just rule the tag team. Like, win the belts, be major stars. Right? Like, unless you got this program with Kyle Fletcher cooking that's just not there yet, throw him right back into that.
For sure.
Because Mark Davis has looked better lately. They've featured him a little bit more. I don't know. I would love that. And just like right back to the top of, again, maybe you put the TNT on Fletcher as well. And you put the tag belts on him and you're like, this is, he might not be in the world title picture, but he's the rest of it.
Yep. He's still a guy you got to keep an eye on. And it gives Mark Davis something to do. Like, it's not his fault that his tag team partners get injured and or have big pushes while he gets injured. So I've always felt bad about that when it comes to Mark Davis. And man, my boy Jake Doyle. I mean, he was going out there. I was loving the tag match with FTR. Like, there is that moment of the match where they threw, I think it was I was gonna call him Bald, but his name is Dax Harwood. And he throws Dax Harwood and they like do an uppercut and then they just yell and grunt like, I was like, yes, we need tag teams like that. We need tag teams like that so badly. Where there's just that's hitting each other like, and I was saying, it's like, let's go. But then he just tore his bicep and totally killed it.
With the smaller crowds too. And I don't mind the intimate environments, but with the smaller crowds, you could hear him clear as day. Like he did some, and it was really innocuous. It wasn't a big like move that he did. And all of a sudden it's like, I tore my bicep. And then they just never explained any of it. Like, I don't know if AEW has mentioned it on TV. I haven't seen it. because he was nowhere to be found the rest of the match. They never said anything about Mark Davis not having his partner around while he got beat up and then pinned. And then they haven't said anything since.
Yep. Same thing with Hobbs, with him going to WWE. They haven't explained his disappearance yet.
And now Joe's hurt, and apparently he's given the reins to Hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm really concerned about the ops.
Yeah,
with
Hook
no
and
Hobbs.
Katsuyori Shibata walking down that ring.
No, but seriously, like Joe is gone and Hobbs is gone.
Yep.
Well, do we really need Hook to be the leader of the group that isn't a group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Leader of men, or in this case, man, right now. So
we need somebody because Hook speaks English.
It is funny. I think Hook called himself the greatest second generation wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
And Katsuyori Shibata is a second generation wrestler.
Right.
So
Who's better than him?
He's pretty, but he's a lot better than Hook.
And there's a lot. See, the problem with saying that is you shouldn't be saying it in jest. You should be saying it because it's legitimately an argument that you are the greatest second gen, and like you're not even close.
No.
Like it's kind of embarrassing for him to say that.
Yeah. He is better than how some second gen wrestlers have gone, but he's not,
He's not in the top though.
No. It's not Randy Orton.
Anyway, and then like in the tag team division, I feel like they've lost it again in AEW. Like I really don't like Job Speed, and are they still the trios champions with Hangman? Hangman needed something for Job Speed to do.
I haven't heard Job Speed.
Oh, sorry. I think it's Jet Speed. Right. I thought I got it confused. Zach.
That's really good.
They were jobbing every single week, and then suddenly Hangman was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go out and win the trios belts because Hobbs is leaving, but we need somebody else. So you guys, guys that lose every week, Job Speed, come out." And now they got T-shirts. Like that's awesome. Good for you guys. Good for you.
Well, are they Jet Speed Radio? Is that what they're called now? Isn't that a name? Other than the other name that people want them to be called?
Rodeo.
Oh, yeah. Jet Speed Rodeo or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that Rodeo. Hangman.
Rodeo.
Yeah. It's not.
I was thinking the video game Jet Speed Radio. It's an old, what is it? Not Sega Genesis. That's too old. It's a Sega game anyway.
Never too old when you talk Sega Genesis.
Yes.
Never, ever too old. So
not the Sega Saturn.
Do you think we'll get a 3-way at Revolution for like the next contender that involves Hangman, Swerve, and Kenny, who all lost to Andrade? Because that's what it feels like to me. And I'm not sure why those three would deserve a number one contenders match when they've all just lost to Andrade, but understanding that they're the big stars. And then my second question would be, would you look forward to that match more than Andrade and MJF?
To answer both those questions, yes and yes. So that's probably how it goes. By the way, just so that I could avoid the multiple emails and messages afterwards, Sega Dreamcast, what I was thinking of. So excellent. I just wanted to say it that way I don't get message afterwards and I'm kicking back and watching TV and my phone blows up and saying, Zach, you don't understand. It's the Sega Dreamcast.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I like what AEW is doing too. So I feel like I'm crapping all over them right now, but it just doesn't make perfect sense to me. And then when Brody King loses in Australia, then what happens to him? Just he beat MJF because Hangman came out and they did this stupid Gunther spot, and then he loses in a big match, and then what? Like, who knows?
Maybe they go right into the Bandito feud. Who knows?
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah, possible. Zach, that's going to do it for us. It's a kind of a short and sweet one here, but it's good because I'm going to tell you, I'm very, very, very shortly, I'm going to watch episode 4 of Unreal, and I'm looking forward to recording that episode.
I still haven't watched it yet. I will reluctantly watch it because it's the episode where they try and explain how they worked everybody with the Seth Rollins stuff. So I've been pushing it off because I I don't want to go into it with the bad mood. I want to come out of it with a bad mood.
No, right. That's exactly it. You got to watch it and then we got to record like right away because I know how you're going to feel after it.
Yeah, I just those shots of Triple H looking at me, telling me it's just part of what we do here. Like I'm not looking forward to it, Lee. It's Seth being like, I had to hide it from my kid. I had to hide it from this, and I'm like, well, that's just bad parenting. Like, why would you hide the worst work in the history of professional wrestling to your kid?
Because your kid's friends at school might ask. Well, good for them.
Yeah. Good. Like, I'm sure those kids will spread it around to everybody else. And
And then they'll go home and tell their parents. And now we got a real rumor because your kids told their kids in grade 2, whatever. Like, come on.
And it will leak it and we'll trace it back to you that leaked the rumor, and Triple H will come to you. Maybe we would get a shot of Unreal of Triple H going like, this was supposed to be kept internal. I didn't tell anybody other than Cody Rhodes, Nick Khan, the agents, a whole bunch of other people.
What I am looking forward to is seeing if they give us any genuine reaction, because if I'm the other people that work in the company, I'm not happy about it.
No.
So we'll see if we see that.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, we've heard in the past of wrestlers not being happy being worked by the company and just lack trust with everybody else. So those are always risky angles to pull off. And so that is interesting from that aspect. But yes, I will be watching this through gritted teeth. I might bang my hand on the desk a couple of times, and we'll see.
Well, Zach, I look forward to recording that episode with you very soon. But for Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks again for listening to this edition of This Is Wrestling.